Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm, and in this lesson we're going to talk about online safety, how to keep yourself safe online. Here are our learning objectives. You need to learn how to use computers as powerful tools for finding, sharing, and storing information around the globe. We're also going to explore the risks of computing and study the negative impacts on society. And I'm going to advocate for you to practice safe, legal, and responsible use of information technology. Let's talk about some of the dangers that you'd face online. Cyberbullying, online predators, sexting, or damaged reputations, identity theft or scams, and viruses. Cyberbullying. 69% of social media using teens think that peers are mostly kind to each other on social networking sites. However, 88% of teens have seen someone be mean or cruel to another person on a social networking site. So 88%, that's a large number, right? And that's just seeing someone being mean to someone else. Cyberbullying isn't just limited to kids, right? This is adults cyberbully each other as well, okay? 12% of teens say they've witnessed cruel behavior frequently on social networking sites. Now, if you notice the source for this information, this is from 2011. This was a Pew Research study in 2011, so these numbers may be a bit off. But you just need to get a general sense for how pernicious this issue is. 15% of social media using teens say they've been the target of online meanness. 65% of social media using teens have had an experience on a social networking site that made them feel good about themselves. That's good. These communication systems, they allow us to really share information, and that information can be uplifting and positive, but it can also be negative. 58% of social media using teens have felt closer to another person because of an experience on a social networking site. I want you to understand it's not all negative. I know every time, since you were a kid, every time anyone's talked to you about online, how to use the internet properly, they just tell you, oh, just don't use the internet at all. It's just full of predators and everyone's out to get you and it's all bad. That's not necessarily the case, right? People are good. Most people are good. And by most, I mean 99.9% of people are good. And they want what's good for you. There is that 0.1%. And the internet allows you to access those people more easily than you can in your real life. So be careful. Online predators. This is a big issue. Information from 2010 from the Journal of Adolescent Health showed that 2,332 arrests for internet sex crimes against minors involve social networking sites. Cases involved social networking sites were more likely to result in face-to-face meetings. And this was true of 81% of social networking site involved cases and true of 55% of non-social networking sites cases. Again, these numbers are out of date by about 10 years. This is the most recent information I can find. This may be completely different at this point. It may be worse. 29% of internet sex crime relationships were initiated on a social networking site. In 26% of online sex crimes against minors, offenders disseminated information and or pictures of the victim through the victim's personal social networking site. If you share pictures of yourself with someone else on the internet, assume that picture is now public for everyone to see it. It happens too often to think that it's fine. They won't share that picture. They trust me, or I trust them. They love me. They're going to share it. They're going to share it with everyone they know. Just assume that that's what's going to happen. 17% of sexters share the messages they receive with others, and 55% of those share them with more than one person. So this is information from 2014. So it's a little more relevant. more recent. That's the word I'm looking for. So 17% of people who send pictures or who receive sex messages share that picture with other people. And half of those share them with more than one person. So again, if you send a picture of yourself to somebody online, assume that it's going to be shown to other people. Sending or receiving a sexually suggestive text or image under the age of 18 is considered child pornography and can result in criminal charges. It depends on which state you live in, but this could result in a criminal charge for you as a minor for distributing child pornography. 15% of teens who have sent or posed nude or semi-nude images of themselves send messages to people that they've never met, but know from the internet. Again, you don't know these people. You may feel like you know them, but you don't. Don't send any information, including images of yourself, to anyone you don't know. Identity theft. This is something we talked about a lot in the previous lesson when we talked about cybersecurity. About 7% of people age 16 or older were victims of identity theft in 2014. The majority of identity theft victims, 86% of them, experienced the fraudulent use of existing account information such as credit card or bank account info. 74% of all scams were initiated via email. It's very, very easy for someone to send you an email that pretends to be legitimate and looks legitimate, but as soon as you click the link, they've captured all of your info. Don't fall for it. Okay? Pay attention to what you're doing online. Pay attention to which emails you're clicking. Keep yourself safe. Viruses. Spam is included in viruses for the purpose of this email. 24 million Americans experience heavy spam on a regular basis. 16 million U.S. households have had serious virus problems in the last 2 years. 8 million households have had spyware problems in the last 6 months. 1 million households have lost money or have had accounts misused by phishing. Phishing is where I send you an email pretending to be someone else. You click the link and I get information from you, and then I use that to buy stuff or pull money out of your account. Estimated cost to U.S. households for virus, spyware, and phishing, $4.5 billion per year. Percent of all U.S. households that have been affected by viruses, 40%. 40%, nearly half of American households have been affected by viruses. Many of them have no idea. Because as we talked about in our cybersecurity lecture, a lot of these viruses, they exist without you knowing, and they stay alive on your system without you knowing they're even there. So we talked a lot about these viruses in the last lesson, so I'm not going to repeat myself, but some of these are not repeating. So, for example, the polymorphic virus. This is a virus that encrypts itself using a different algorithm each time it infects your computer. It makes it almost impossible for these to be found and removed once they're there. Once this gets into your system, your computer is pretty much done. Passwords. We talked about passwords as well. Make sure you don't use the same password for everything. Make sure you use complex passwords, meaning mixed case, special characters, numbers, that kind of stuff. Long passwords, at least 10 characters long. Don't use passwords that contain common words or phrases. Don't use passwords that contain your personal information. Don't write your passwords down. Don't do it. Don't create a Google Doc called passwords with all of your passwords listed in it. That's just, no, don't do it. Use mnemonic devices or algorithmic devices to remember your passwords. For example, Mr. Storm has $1, but the store closes at 5, right? That creates a password, M, capital S, lowercase h, $1, $BTSC at 5. No one would ever know what that password is, right? But if I understand, if I remember the algorithm, then I know that that's the password. All right. We went over a lot this week. This is a huge subject, and this is something that you can spend ages learning about. The big important takeaways from the lessons this week: don't share information about yourself that people could use against you. Don't send photographs of yourself in compromising situations that you don't want to be shared with everyone. Here's something else. Don't say or do anything on the internet that you don't want to share with everyone. Remember, everything you do online is permanent. It's almost impossible to get rid of information once it exists online. All right? Imagine, here's the metaphor I like to use. And I'm going to go full screen for this because this is important. Here's the metaphor I like to use. Imagine you're standing on a stage in an auditorium. And the auditorium has seats going all the way back, and there's a balcony at the top. And you have a spotlight on you. And in the front row are all the people that you know and care about and love right there. Your mother, your grandmother, your father, your brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, closest friends at school, boyfriend, girlfriend, whomever. They're all in the front row. Behind them, in the next couple of rows, are people that you see every day, but you don't know that well. Friends, acquaintances, just pretty much people who know who you are, know that you exist as a person, but you're not really associating with them too much. And in the balcony, imagine that everyone who is ever going to be important to you or ever know you is up there. Up in the front row of the balcony, that's your future spouse, your kids, your grandkids, everyone. They're all up there. And imagine you walk out on stage and you say or do whatever it is you're about to say or do online. You post that picture. You make that joke. You use that word you know you're not supposed to use. You're essentially doing whatever it is you're doing. You're doing that in front of an audience of all the people who are going to know and love and care about you. Don't say or do anything online that is going to embarrass you 10, 15, 20 years from now. You don't want to have to justify to your kids why you made that racist joke on Twitter back when you were in high school. You don't want to have to justify to your future spouse why there are pictures of you naked all over the internet. Think about it. Before you post it, think about it. Really think about it. Because as soon as you hit send, as soon as you hit post, you can't take it back. This is really important. And these kinds of mistakes can ruin your life. They can change your life forever. So think about it. Make sure you really, really want to do that before you do it. All right. Sorry to end on such a, breathe. It's okay. We got through it. That's the hardest. This is the hardest lesson that we do all year. But we got through it together. We're strong. Go team. We made it. Now that this is done, go ahead and take the quiz and then work on the infographic for the week. Thanks for paying attention and sticking through the tough conversation, and I'll see you later.